First, real briefly, what is a Cusip? A Cusip number consists of a combination of 9 characters, both letters and numbers, which act as a sort of DNA for security, uniquely identifying the company or issuer of the type of security. I'm going to save some time and just say it's an identifier for tracking a security through different financial systems. That's all it is. So in relation to the birth certificate, when we're researching our Cusip, what we are obtaining when we get that information, to the best of my knowledge, and this isn't legal advice, this is just according to my understanding. And let's take a look at that while I talk about it here. So this is an example of what comes back, how your Cusip search results look. And this cost $150 donation. If you have the master file, then I tell you where to send that. I don't get anything out of this. I'm just sharing with you so you guys can better understand how I'm using this research and how I'm using it as a part of correcting my status. Is it necessary? That's up to you to determine. So what this tells me is when I get a certificate of live birth and I submit it over and they come back and they give me a Cusip number, this shows me that the asset which underlies my birth certificate, because the certificate is just evidence of a thing done by definition. That's part of what it is. It's evidence of something done. What is the thing that was done? That is an act, the Birth Registration Act. And there is a custodian who is holding property or who has securitized property under that act, and that property comes directly off of the estate. So this is just some transaction. Maybe I don't know the full details of that transaction, but I know that because it's connected to the certificate, it's money arising out of the estate. And therefore, there is some type of reversionary interest, some type of collateral outstanding, or some type of obligation due to the estate. Now, this number right here represents the entire fund number. Not just my underlying asset that's a part of that fund. There's other assets a part of that fund. So I'm not making a claim to this entire fund as being entitled to use it personally. This is a type of title, this is not a alloidial title, if you will. This is title in common, according to my research. Title in common is the type of title to where the interest isn't readily determinable amongst all the title holders, and it isn't about to be dispersed. This is an example of title in common. So the most that we can get by recording this affidavit of title, affidavit of beneficial ownership, affidavit of title for the county side, statement of beneficial ownership for the securities account private side, the most that we can get out of this is establishing a collateral interest in this fund or in our underlying assets that are creating this fund, indexed to this fund. So this is just a part of what an executor does for the estate, or what a trustee does. He holds the property. So this trustee, by the way, is your executor. So I also found it important in your revocable living trust, or your declaration of trust, that if that's securing or titling or doing the business of the estate, that executor is necessary, that you also appoint one. So your executor, your general executor, and your trustee essentially would be the same. And let's see. Anyways, but that I was saying, that is the function of what executor does. Like, this is why people talk about the, potential remedies for going into bankruptcy proceedings and bringing their assets, affidavit of title on a security, to a trustee, because it's all about collecting the assets, and it's almost a crime to conceal or deny assets. So the affidavit of title, this is why we spend so much spend so much effort getting this recorded in the county, because it's already backed up by a fund. We've already collected all the evidence. So you can see in some, in some cases why there might be a concerted effort behind the scenes to not let you record this interest, because now it becomes a public record once it's recorded, and once you properly register it and title it in trust by what is written on your affidavit of title. Your affidavit title is always going to have a grantor and it's going to have a grantee, because everything in the county is just another trust instrument. This has to be corrected. We're going to get to that. All right. So that's how I use the Cusip search results. It is the evidence of the financial transaction in the underlying estate. It's an initial asset and a registration of value, because when you register a trust on an initial financing statement, there has to be a value. The value of the estate will certainly increase as more assets are attached to your filing via UCC3. But this is the first transaction. Hold on, let me let this aircraft fly over. So this is the first transaction, and this UCC doesn't require any authenticated agreement with the debtor as would be required under Article 9. This is a security entitlement under Article 8. So you're registering the trust's title over the estate. That's a security entitlement. That is governed under non-UCC filing provisions, foreign provisions, which are, securities entitlements under Article 8, and they're recognized under Article 9 as non-UCC filings, if you will. Simply being entitled to it, such as reversionary interest, because it's due to go back to the estate, and within trust, you are authorized and therefore managing the beneficial interest of the estate for the estate. Essentially, that's what's going on here, if you understand. So now back to the Cusip number. Remember, we were saying, so what did we establish here? We established a collateral interest. In this case, this particular fund is worth $940 billion as of April 2017. $940 billion. We have a collateral interest in that. There's not even a billion people in the United States of America. I think, if we believe stats and numbers. So what we're doing with this collateral interest, once this gets recorded, right, we have a lien. We already have a lien if we have this county recording, because we have a page and a book number. That's a document ID. And then we have a document of title covering that. So that's a lien. Maybe it'd be a form of a common law lien on the county. To a certain degree, it actually is. Even though it's a registration of a trust, it still qualifies as a lien. Even under statutory codes, this qualifies as a lien. But now it becomes a UCC1 commercial lien once you register it here as a security entitlement. So we're registering a collateral interest in an account for $940 something billion. It's a collateral interest, not a specific type of interest. There's interest to some of the collateral, and I'm careful to say here that we're holding title and interest in common, right? Because we don't want to misrepresent anything that we're doing here. So this collateral interest is good, because usually so this prepares us safer in the future if we wanted to create a bond. And I'm not saying that you would have to. When you record this collateral interest, you create a securities account. Look that up under Article 8. You get a filing number. That'll be somewhere up here. That'll be your securities account number. So if you were going to pledge the collateral interest to create a bond with two other guarantors who are secured parties who could also pledge their collateral interest, what are they pledging? They're pledging their collateral interest and this whole transaction right here, which is a reversionary interest or a claim of interest in this right here. You didn't have to use this. You could have used anything. You see what I'm saying? So, but that is kind of essentially, I hope that shines better light on the Cusip number, how we're using it and why we're using it. And this is just, you know, there's not just one way to use this. This will open up the door to many different things, many that I can't, you know, beyond the scope to, you know, this video will get too long if I keep talking about them. So I'm just going to read through this and then we're going to go into the next video. This is the way that we list this, that we enter the collateral. This is a book entry security. This is an initial book entry of the trust holding the collateral for the estate. So here's the registration statement. This registration establishes the securities account for the entitlements enclosed and held in trust with all right, title, and interest in common under Fund FBNX, whatever, and then we put the Cusip number in parentheses. Net valued at 940, whatever. We're talking about this fund over here, including the associated chattels, electronic assignments, and instruments deposited hereto and attached as follows. All right.